Nobody wants to die in Nigeria.
Other one is bandits. They were attached with them, but they tried.
Hello and welcome to Nigeria Diaspora Television. I am Adetunji Omotola. There's a long line of news that will interest our viewers across the African continent. And we start right away with the visit of the AU chair, the African Union chair, Musa Faki Mohammed, a Chadian who visited the NEPAD agency a few days ago and brought good wishes from the African Union in Addis Ababa into the rest of the continent. We have seen in the Kenyan elections that in spite of the opposition boycott, the current president, Uhuru Kenyatta, has secured 98% of the votes. Although the opposition alleged that the elections, the rerun, were a sham because they alleged that the elections had a very low turnout. And in Zimbabwe, President Robert Mugabe, who has been president of Zimbabwe since 1980, April 18, 1980, has decided to sack his vice president, Emmerson Mnangagwa. Emmerson Mnangagwa, 75 years old, had been with President Mugabe since the 1980s. And they were very close allies. But there's been a bitter fight between President Mugabe as well as his wife, Grace Mugabe, and former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa in Rwanda. 64% of the Rwandese parliament are women. In fact, the 2003 constitution in Rwanda leaves space of 30% in parliament and other decision-making bodies to women in Rwanda. So the Rwandan women constitute today 64% of parliament, which is the best in the world. The African Presidential Center this past week held an event on the challenges of education in Africa in the 21st century, and they managed to get 7 former African leaders in one room at the round table to discuss the challenges of education. And those presidents were Karl Hoffman of Mauritius, President Jonathan of Nigeria, John Mahama of Ghana, Jakaya Kikwete of Tanzania, Rupia Banda of Zambia, as well as former presidents of Zanzibar as well. It was a very incisive event. There was a lot of insights from former presidents, a lot of wisdom. Of course, many of them had ruled their countries for an average of 5 to 6 years. And what came out of that was that there are more than 100 million children of school age in Africa who are not in school. And as the population of Africa increases, many of those children will not still be able to go to school because the budget for education is an average of 18%. And we also saw sickening signs of bodies being washed up on the coast of the Mediterranean, Africans running away from a rich continent and looking for prospects of a better life in Europe. And the latest one being 26 Nigerian women, or perhaps also including Nigerian women, Nigerian being Niger or Niger, whichever way you want to call it. And those women apparently are from West Africa, these 2 countries, and 2 people or some people have been arrested they come from Egypt and Libya. And so these are some of the things that are happening, or the incidents that are happening around the African continent. This past few weeks, we had the opportunity as Nigeria Diaspora Television to cover the Nigerian Awards in Pretoria. Excellence Awards put together by the Nigerian Voice newspaper to present Nigerians who are doing great things in different fields of endeavor. And as we arrived at the venue at the Encore Theatre, we were treated to lavish welcome drinks, wine and canapes, red carpet, and it was really well attended with diplomats from also from members of the Nigerian community, professionals, young people, as well as women, people in other fields. And the evening unpacked itself, and we were given a very inspirational speech by the sponsor, the CEO of Old Mutual for the rest of Africa. And if you were not in business, then you should be running for presidency somewhere. And of course, we had awards that were inspiring, and the one that came to mind was a Nigerian female professor at the University of Johannesburg that is teaching 40 PhD students, and 20 of those are Nigerians. What also was very inspiring was to see a lot of successful Nigerians who were running small businesses, even nightclubs, and they gave testimony about how difficult it was for them to be able to succeed.
Of Santin Upmarket, Booth Nightclub offers its clientele an exclusive VIP experience and international feel.
Let's join hands together, make Africa proud and great.
My girls are shouting, Pinky baby, top ranking, yeah. See them rocking my way, tell them to turn up the place for another one, yeah. Make we boogie down, make them know say we ready. Are you ready?
If you go to Nigeria with funeral cover, you will cover only yourself and come back. Nobody wants to die in Nigeria. You go tell them that you have to come and cover your life in case you die. Nigeria is the only country where a madman is crossing road is checking.
Nigerian Community Spirit Award that was given to a businessman by the name of Ekos Akpokabayan, who is also the executive producer of NDTV. And that award is actually quite a good award, because there are very few Nigerians who are doing exceptionally well in the area of bringing the community together. Yeah. So all in all, it was a great success for Nigerians in diaspora, and the event was put together by the Nigerian Voice newspaper, and my suspicion is that the one next year will be a lot bigger and better, and more categories will be in the lineup. And that takes us to the big elephant in the room. Police brutality towards Nigerians in South Africa has been at an all-time high. Many of you will recall that in April this year, there were specific attacks directed towards Nigerians in a suburb of southern Johannesburg called Rosettenville, as well as Pretoria West. Now, a few weeks ago, a young Nigerian by the name of Lekon Badmus, a 25-year-old, who lives in a suburb called Vanderbilt Park, was allegedly murdered by South African Police Service. And this murder, which obviously in the aftermath, footage went viral on the internet, suggested that the young man had been killed by police, and Nigerian friends of his proceeded to the venue, and they were frustrated and some of them began to attack the police on the site. Of course, post that, there was a lot of movement in the community. The South African police, the Nigerian diplomatic community, the Nigerian leaders of thought rushed to the scene, and they were able to give us more information, and they released a press statement, and so did the Embassy of Nigeria, the consulate, as well as the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Diaspora, Madam Abike Dabiri Erewa, who was very categorical in a statement that Nigerians are now tired of seeing regular acts of extrajudicial killing in South Africa, which never gets punished. So what has happened so far is that there's been a case lodged with the Independent Police Protectorate, known as IPID. And as we speak, we are waiting for the news about the report by IPID. So far, the last 2 years, more than 120 Nigerians have been killed by the South African police and other South Africans. And many people feel that this killing of Badmus is one death too many. Given the recent high-profile killing, or well, maybe not high-profile, but went viral, Ibrahim Olalekan Badmus, 25-year-old that was killed.
Yes.
And we know that it was so serious because the video was graphic, police were being assaulted, there was a lot of emotions and tensions in the community, and the police minister said it's not acceptable. What are you doing as the attorney representing the concerned citizens of Nigeria in South Africa? What are you doing?
Okay, not only concerned Nigerian as well,
right.
So, legal advisor to the Nigerian Union.
Right.
Yeah, I was on ground, and that's a matter that
tell us what happened.
Okay, let me. It's basically alleged drug den, according to the SAPS.
The premises where the man was found
you
dead.
understand? Where he was found dead. And obviously they went in for their search without a search warrant, obviously. And in the process, they alleged that they found drugs on him.
What kind of drugs?
Well, that will all depend on the laboratory results, because you see, we have to be extremely very careful.
You're talking about the drug that he had taken?
Exactly.
Right.
Because one, you can come into the premises of Nigeria and you find a Gary, for instance, and how do you determine, or you say powder, a teaching powder?
We like powdery substances.
Exactly. So how do you?
It could be amala.
So all that
shit
will definitely be taken to the laboratory so that we can get a result to attain or to determine if that was.
Who is in charge? Who is in charge of the evidence? Who is the custodian?
Obviously, the SAPS. Because
the same police.
Yes, the police. Because what they do is when a drug is found on you, there's a process not to tamper with the chain of evidence. You know, it's meant to be taken in your presence, sealed in your presence. Now taken to what we call the SAPS.
And they did all of that.
Well, it all depends on the disclosure of the docket. When I get that is when I'm a watching brief to this issue. The most important thing is
you haven't seen the docket.
I have to wait for the post-mortem results.
You haven't gotten the post-mortem. This is almost 2 months.
Yes, I'm pushing on that seriously with the IPID.
But he's been buried, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been buried. I'm communicating with IPID, and there's a progress which I don't want to disclose for now.
But why would they? Sorry, I'm just trying to track.
Okay.
Why would they allow burial of a body who is still subject to?
No. It's been done. The postmortem has been done.
Okay, it's been done.
Yeah,
so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so when will they?
If the result of the postmortem we are not satisfied as a watching brief, we have the right to resume the body. I can make an application to the High Court to resume the body.
Right.
But before we get there, I have to wait for
how long?
For the postmortem. Look,
give us a time.
We have to understand Badmus' case. It's a very sensitive matter because one, our fellow Nigerians took the laws into their hands.
But one wrong doesn't.
No. We have to take cognizance of
this.
Yes, this is a case that is going so much in our favor. But now, if you remember vividly well, with the media, the propaganda now turned by the minister of the police now turned the entire case to say that, listen, this.
But they can prosecute the Nigerians who attacked the police, can't they?
Yeah, no, they can do that.
Yeah, so they're separate issues.
But that was now a distraction, and that did not work in our favor.
Right.
That did not really work in our favor.
I see. So what you're saying is that not happened, this would have been a lot easier.
Yes.
As you can see, the interview with Barrister Morege Ogboro on the situation regarding police brutality towards Nigerians in South Africa was very wide-ranging. We touched on many areas, some of them very difficult areas, but as you can see, the barrister is very adamant that this things will no longer be business as usual, which now takes us to another level of activism that is happening in the Nigerian community. An organization called Nigerian Lives Matter recently held an event in the Constitution Hill in Johannesburg, in an area called Braamfontein, to highlight some of the challenges that Nigerians in South Africa face, especially with regards to the killing, unlawful killing of Nigerians.
I'm a Nigerian and I'm also an African. When we use the word, let me say the statement, Nigerian Lives Matter, it does not really mean we're talking only about Nigerians, but we're talking about the lives of Africans in South Africa individually, whether you're from Nigeria, from Ghana, Togo, South Africa, all lives really matters. But the reason why we chose the statement Nigerian Lives Matter, this thing borns out of the stereotype about the Nigerians in South Africa. And we are trying to say it does not have to do with your nationality, it has to do with individuals that feel to do good or to feel to do bad.
Well, the initiative is good to the extent to which it will help to unify the Nigerians here in South Africa to be able to have a wonderful relationship with their South African host.
I think this initiative is wonderful, and immediately I heard about the idea, I jumped on it immediately. I think what has been lacking is that there's no information on the grassroots level. We can see there's been synergy between the two governments in dealing with issues on the diplomatic level. But when it comes to the ground, with the actual people on ground, we've not seen that social cohesion flowing as it flows from government to the people. So what I think Nigerian Lives Matter will do is to bring that diplomatic connection and information on the top level to the masses to live in a better Africa.
Nigerian Lives Matter is a forum put together by a group of concerned Nigerian nationals living in South Africa in conjunction with forward-thinking South African nationals of like minds on this human rights issue. Nigerian Lives Matter is born of the ideology that all lives matter, irrespective of race, nationality, caste, creed, religion, or language, and socio-economic background. We are guided by the principles of African humanity, Ubuntu, which is commonly translated as humanity towards others. I'll read a quote by Nelson Mandela. "The world will not respect Africa until Nigeria earns that respect. The black people of the world need Nigeria to be great as a source of pride and confidence." Close quote.
The only thing I hate is about portraying Nigerians in positive light. But I don't know how you want to go about doing that. And I wonder whether you also, because some of the things which are raised about Nigerians, special crime, not only Nigerians, other migrants and also South Africans, is true. So what are you going to do, or what have you done in that community to conscientize them to stay away from committing crimes and stuff like that?
He mentioned that there will be road shows and rallies to sensitize the people. There will be constant lectures and there will be press briefings. One of the issues we felt and we had looked very deeply into was the issue of immigration. As much as possible, we think that problem has been underlooked. We think it's one of the trigger of crimes, where people come into the country, some of them have come in as refugees, some of them have come in as visitors for 1 month, and they stay in the country illegally.
Since you've already said that Nigerians are strewn all over the world, if I should say, are you going to spread this initiative beyond South Africa? And if so, do you have any timelines towards that? And secondly, there is a Black Lives Matter initiative in America? Did you draw any inspirations from from that one? And are there any parallels that you have with those, with that initiative?
Well, like we've already pinpointed, that this thing is not only going to breed and die in South Africa. In fact, it's going to also move to Nigeria. The reason why he has to move to Nigeria is also to be able to give the people of Nigeria that their lives are also matter. Because when we say Nigerian Lives Matter, it does not mean only the Nigerians in South Africa, across the world.
Nigerian Lives Matter couldn't have come at a better time. Nigerians in South Africa face many challenges, especially in terms of immigration, in terms of job opportunities, and also being able to speak the local language, which is a sine qua non, especially when you're on the streets, in the mean streets, as they call it. So my sense is there couldn't have been a better time for Nigerian Lives Matter to be founded. But also, my sense is the Nigerian community in South Africa, given the xenophobic attacks in the past few months, has become much more stronger, much more united, and much more focused on dealing with the issues that affect Nigerians in South Africa, and this is very welcome. Now, for our viewers, we would like you to subscribe to Nigeria Diaspora Television, because we would like to grow as fast as is possible, but we also like to do more for your entertainment and also for you to keep in touch with what Nigerians in diaspora are doing. So please follow us on Facebook, Nigeria Diaspora Television. We're also on Twitter, and as you know, we operate on YouTube. And for me, for this time, I'll say thank you very much for watching. Segobe, Kachifo, Odabo.